And we're live.
Have you guys seen Long Way Down?
No, I haven't heard of it.
It's cool. So I'm going to screw up his name, but Ewan McGregor? Is that how you pronounce the Star Wars dude's name? Ewan?
Pretty close.
I think it's Ewan, and I don't know how to pronounce that. Ewan McGregor. And Charlie Boomer, I hope. Did I get that? No?
I don't even...
Let's go with Charlie Boomer.
Yeah, Charlie Boomer. Yeah. Go.
All right. Anyway, these two people are good friends. They're both actors. And they look at the map of the world and they say, you know what? Like that little bit between is it the Bering Strait between Alaska and the Soviet Union? Is that where the Bering Strait is? It's really thin. And they're like, we could ride our motorcycles around the world. We'll start in London and then we'll go west through then they'll go east through Eastern Europe and all those like Soviet bloc countries, the Ukraine, etc. They go into the Soviet Union through Mongolia and Tanzania, maybe, and then up through the Soviet Union, across to Alaska, through Canada. And they enter the U.S. in like Detroit-ish area. North Dakota. And then they go to New York, take a plane back across the Atlantic, and then they finish the short scoot over back to London. So they ride their motorcycles the long way round. Long way down, back on topic, they go from Scotland, up at the top of the UK there, down to South Africa. These are PKA adventures, but long.
Why would you do that to yourself? Not. No, that's awful. You know what? That's one of those adventures that they started. They got like 400 miles in, and one guy was to the other, like when the cameras were off, like, oh my God, what have we done? This is horrible. This is the worst thing we could have done. We're about to enter the Congo. There's child soldiers at every post. And he's like, dude, if we turn back now, they're going to call us a bitch. They're going to make fun of us for not going all the way around. We have to go all the way down to South Africa. Like, this was a spite adventure. They weren't enjoying this.
So, I felt like they were pretty honest about it. There were parts of it that they just loved. And the parts they just loved, I didn't feel like where the real memories were built. And, but it was kind of cool to see, etc. They camped mostly, right? So they just like stay back and forth. But a lot of times they just pull over on the side of the road, sometimes well off the roads so that like traveling soldiers and bandits and stuff wouldn't find them. And they stayed in tents, as you do, you know. And but the hard parts. The hard parts were the parts that they kind of remember. And he even saying it, he's like, when this is over, I'll look back on it and be like, I did a thing, you know, that like 400 miles of silt we just rode a motorcycle through. Like that's a thing I accomplished, a thing that not everybody has done. And Ewan, call me.
Yeah, I'm down for a lot of things. More than even Kyle will sign off on. I will do whatever trip you want, but nowhere where there's roaming bandits and people in militia just walking down the street, and I have to camp 100 yards off the road. That's where I've.
What I thought was fun.
Yeah, no, I've got a great trip, a big adventure for Chiz. You have to take a plane from L.A. to Salt Lake City. Just one way. You can take the Greyhound back. Just a plane. A 2-hour plane ride. It'll be insurmountable. They will have no pretzels on a flight that short. You drink a lot beforehand, and the bathrooms are kind of small. But I'd love to see some footage of that. No one will
TSA is still a thing, right?
What?
I said TSA? No bandits, and TSA is still a thing, huh?
Well, yes. TSA isn't gonna, hold you for captive on a grainy webcam.
You don't know that.
To see, no. But when I was thinking about Woody's adventure, he was explaining, if those guys had died in like Somalia or wherever they were driving through on their motorcycles on their, Western, let's have a hoot, let's go do all this adventure stuff. If they had died or been kidnapped, I would look at it the same way as those two guys who got mauled by that tiger because they just spent too long fucking with it. It's like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, sorry you died. You shouldn't have been there. You shouldn't be gallivanting around Somalia on your motorcycle camping so the bandits don't find you, as if they couldn't if they wanted. Like, that's just, ugh.
Yeah, that sounds like you're wanting to drive around the world, and that sounds real dangerous.
Yeah. The one that goes laterally, like, what is it?
Laterally is fine, right? It's once you get past the equator, we're getting into roaming bandits and stuff.
Like, if you told me you wanted to drive across the state, I'd be like,
the state?
The whole way?
My God, it's not even.
Like, if we go, I'd be like, if we go halfway across the state,
does your vagina lubricate itself, or do you have to get a bottle of KY, Kyle?
Like going across. Like just a motorcycle riding thing. Like
Kyle, you sound like you need a bigger trip. Like
I'm not against
you'd be emotionally richer for having done it.
I stand in the middle for the motorcycle thing. Skill wise, I'm right next to Kyle, but I'm all for learning. I keep arguing, watch the fucking Top Gear cheap car challenge things where they do these trips, but they do them in cars, and it's way more fun and entertaining.
That's true. And the great thing about those adventures is they're backed by a multi-billion-dollar media corporation that can help them out in any possible circumstance, followed by vans of security. Do you think they're actually out there in a 1981 Mazda Miata hoping for the best? No, there's like 6 guys in a van with sandwiches behind them. Like
they drove through Chernobyl.
With a bunch of safety vans behind them.
The long way guys had the same thing. So they had a third motorcycle that he was the cameraman. He'd get shots of them all the time. And then they also had chase vehicles who, just they rendezvoused with every so often. Oftentimes the chase vehicles were behind them, staying out of the way. But I think they often camped together, etc. That's why long way down, right, Scotland to South Africa is too ambitious. However, something like Seattle to Alaska, dude, that's mostly paved. Or Chiz doesn't like Alaska. He wants to go to where? Prudhoe Bay? Is that what it's called?
Prudhoe Bay. It's as far north as you can go on the Dalton Highway.
Dude, that's a thing. Like, that would be awesome.
I mean, if me and Kyle could hang out in the Jeep Grand Cherokee 30 yards behind and we had a portable DVD player or a laptop, that's a trip.
The challenge is when you get that, it makes my idea look stupid. We all need to be like equivalently stupid. Like
Woody's out there, like bug stuck to his teeth. We all stop at the rest stop. Me and Taylor get out.
No, it would be flash.
Yeah. That comfort pillow, man, it really conforms to your neck. It's not. Yeah. I feel great. Woody's all fucked up. They're walking like bow-legged. Him and Chiz. Chiz's thighs are raw from riding this motorcycle.
I have a trike.
The trike.
No, I would want like cut edits from you guys riding there with like 6 hats on, snot frozen into stalactites wrapping around your face, and then it cuts to me and Kyle sitting there. He's driving, and I'm like, "You want to watch Inception again?" And you're like, I gotta stop.
Life is so rough. We're out of DVD.
The phone charger broke, and just like,
there's no service here. We can't watch Amazon. God damn it! Why didn't you pack more DVDs? Christ!
Dude. When you say that, like, I would be down for that. Like what you just, I would be okay for a road trip with like 4 people in a car or an SUV.
This idea is a little more long term.
You just said you wouldn't drive across the state, you vagina.
That's hyperbole. I'm joking. But
here's the thing. So as you know, Chiz is going to move to my guest home this month. Actually, it's really not far away. Do you have a date picked out? I forgot what it was.
It's like the last week of August or something.
Last week of August. You got to quit smoking. Now's good. You could just put that out.
Last week of August, survival trip time.
Nope. It's a different week.
No?
Over this. Yeah. It's almost like you don't pay attention on purpose.
You're the reason it's not the last week of August.
I have that shotgun thing to do. That's true. Yeah.
All right. So, anyway, back on topic. So he's going to be here, and we're going to build, I guess we'll do the stable first as all the sponsors and stuff is lining up for the shop. And then after we build the shop, we could restore a car, make a video series out of it, and then take the car somewhere, right? Like, I don't know what we'll restore. I'm flexible on it, but it could be like a Charger or something with good back seats, I guess. And then we'll take that car.
I have suggestions.
I have a lot of suggestions about the actual artistic.
Finish your plan.
I don't know. We could restore like a 55 Bel Air or something. Like, I'm pretty flexible on it. I'd like air conditioning, but and then take it somewhere. Do a thing. We can go to like the mountains of Vermont and check things out. We could go to like I don't know, Grand Canyon, just like a road trip.
That would be fun. Maybe I could bring one of my dad's cars with me and do that. We could all go in an old car. It'd be fun to ride together, though.
There has to be something at the end of a long road trip. Like, you can't just go to the northernmost point just to be like, wow, look at how north we are, guys. Like, you need to go like a football game.
So the things I've planned out are like, one, the Prudhoe trip, or you go from the farthest continuous state point west or to east and then I also sent Woody a map of a grand road trip.
Oh, that looked great, but pretty long.
Pretty long, but it is grand.
Yeah.
No half measures.
So what he did is...
we went to Vermont and stopped.
It was a route of America that took interesting roads and visited interesting things and hit every state. So that's a pretty big trip.
So like one of Kyle's maps, like I got to pick up, gas in Georgia, and then ticket in Kentucky.
No, because that was one continuous line. Kyle's map makes a bunch of detours and stuff. Like
but someone had, in my opinion, mapped out like a really interesting way to travel to every state. But it might be a little ambitious. I feel like it could be
sponsored by Toyota.
So I don't know what everybody wants to do, but it just occurred to me that it would be fun to do like a road trip, and everybody in the same car. An old car going on a road trip is a mistake. Even the best restored one, like you're not going to replace every piece on that car. And like, I don't know, my dad's got 3 or 4 cars he's restored, and they're all the time, not all the time, but occasionally something will happen, and it's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You might not want to go cross country in a car like that. I think you want like a nice SUV with like 3 rows so people can stretch out, DVD player, AC that's 2015 AC.
RV.
Not RV would be so sick. If you get an RV, you can take. I'll drive. I'll go anywhere.
It would take a lot longer.
Fuck it, and 8 miles a gallon.
It's an
Who gives a shit?
Man.
I bet
I'd
a
go on
map
an
like
RV
that
trip.
has like a bunch of horse shit in it though, where it's like you're in Rhode Island for one exit, and then you peel off into another state, and then you kind of stay there. It's like you're bouncing, like you're not going to a restaurant in every state or anything.
No,
You'd have to like
it
do
was
an activity everywhere.
It was.
I don't want to drive to any states where I can't have my gun though.
Well, that's like how many states is that?
Too many.
A handful
half
of the
the
Northeast,
country?
really. Parts of the Northeast. I don't know.
Once you get out
parts of-
west, you're home free until California for the most
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
Well, this is
Pretty-
all right.